All right, well, we'll get this going. Welcome to Kentucky History Day. Yeah. Yesterday I was going around telling everybody, hey, it's Kentucky History Day Eve. I know you feel the excitement just like you do at Christmas, right? We were all anticipating this coming up. Been really excited, glad that we had Mother Nature give us a good power washing before today, but I think we're in good shape for the rest of the afternoon. Well, welcome to the 2025 Kentucky History Awards breakfast sponsored by our friends at Solid Light and to Kentucky History Day hosted by the Kentucky Historical Society. I am Scott Alvey, Executive Director of the Historical Society, and on behalf of our staff and members, I want to thank you all so much for joining us today for these awards and for a fun day of celebrating Kentucky History Day. These awards serve as a reminder of the significance of history, shedding light on the Commonwealth's identity and drawing attention to our shared experiences as Kentuckians. Today, recipients exemplify how the past shapes the present, and by celebrating important individuals, places, and events across the Commonwealth, they are preserving and enriching Kentucky's history and culture. The individuals and organizations being recognized today, including authors, historians, researchers, museums, and local history organizations, all play a vital role in enhancing the cultural landscape of their communities. Their dedication improves their areas of physical and emotional environment and enriches the lives of those they touch. Through their efforts, we are privileged to honor and celebrate their remarkable contributions today. I want to take a pause and share something with you, a story that about our work. You'll often hear me talk about the fact that as public historians, we don't get to see sometimes the results of our work or the impact of our work. Yesterday afternoon, we received a message from a 9-year-old girl from Tokyo, Japan. And after reading a book, I believe inspired by Lincoln, and about slavery and human bondage, she felt compelled to write a letter to somebody in Kentucky, we were the lucky recipients, to talk about how she was praying for peace. So I think that's a great example of, I wish I knew who the book was from so that we could share it with that author, that they had an impact that far away. I'm really excited too, I mentioned that we're members, and if you're not a member of the Kentucky Historical Society, I encourage you to consider joining us. The primary criteria, and I always have to read this, to becoming a member is for those who shall evidence their dedication to the promotion of the objects and purposes of the society. I don't think you all would be here if you didn't meet that criteria. And the fact, you are joining a group of people, much like our award recipients today, who share our passion and actively support the continued preservation and exploration of Kentucky's past. There is actually a scannable QR code on your table tents there if you want to sign up and join a member or make a donation to the foundation. I do want to express my gratitude to two vital partners supporting today's awards program. Number one, the Kentucky Historical Society Foundation. They sponsor programs, or they support programs like this with the help of donations from individuals like you. It's their philanthropic support that allows us to do the programs and the activities that we do. Also, I want to thank our History Awards breakfast sponsor, Solid Light, for helping us to recognize the important history work happening across the state. Will you please help me and welcome Emily Trujillo, the Marketing Director at Solid Light, who will share a few remarks.
Thanks for that warm introduction, Scott. Ooh, a little short. On behalf of Solid Light, we're honored to be here today as sponsors of the Kentucky Historical Society History Awards Breakfast. For those who may not be familiar with us, Solid Light crafts immersive visitor experiences, building more than just storytelling spaces. We create unforgettable award-winning destinations right out of Louisville. As a comprehensive design build firm, our team of seasoned experts seamlessly unify design, media, and fabrication for museums, tourism destinations, corporate environments, and public spaces here in Kentucky and throughout the nation. At Solid Light, we believe deeply in the power of community and the importance of understanding and celebrating our shared heritage. That's precisely why our partnership with the Kentucky Historical Society is so meaningful to us, so much so that our CEO serves as board president. And while she's sorry she can't be here today, Cynthia Thorpe and the entire Solid Light team believe strongly in the importance of supporting events like this one. KHS does extraordinary work, not just in preserving the invaluable stories and artifacts of Kentucky's past, but also in making that history accessible and relevant to all Kentuckians today. They are the guardians of our collective memory and the champions of historical literacy. And today we have the distinct honor of celebrating those who embody this commitment to Kentucky history through their outstanding contributions. To the recipients of the 2025 Kentucky History Awards, congratulations. Your dedication, scholarship, and passion are inspiring, and you truly exemplify the very best of what the Kentucky Historical Society strives to achieve and support. We're proud to stand with you as individuals in this organization that champion historical scholarship, inspire future generations, and strengthen the very fabric of our Commonwealth. Thank you, KHS, for all that you do, and thank you to all of today's honorees for your incredible work. Enjoy the breakfast and the awards.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you, Emily and Solid Light. I am Leah Craig, Deputy Director of the Kentucky Historical Society. A couple of things to note. Award winners, please come to the stage when your name or organization's name is called. We will take photographs as you receive your award. You can come this way up to the stage. If you would prefer to stay down here, just give Dana Zinger here in the orange dress a nod, and we're happy to come down to you. After receiving your award and having your photo taken, please return to your seat. Following the conclusion of today's ceremony, please stay in this room for a group photograph. And audience, please hold your applause until the speaker is finished presenting the award. So to begin with, I'd like to invite Sheila Mason, KHS Governing Board First Vice President, to assist with handing out the awards, along with Scott and Dana Zinger, Director of Marketing and Communications, who will assist. And now I'd like to invite Sarah Cole McIntosh, Director of Learning Services, to present our first awards.
Good morning. The Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History is one of the nation's leading organizations dedicated to K-12 American history education. Each year, it honors one teacher from every state. This year, we present Kendrick Bryan from LaRue County High School in Hodgenville the 2024 Gilder Lehrman Kentucky History Teacher of the Year Award. Kendrick, an alumnus of Western Kentucky University, was recognized as a James Madison Fellow in 2017. In addition to his teaching responsibilities, he sponsors the school's pep club and the student YMCA. I also learned this morning he is now an assistant athletic director as well. Additionally, he judges the We the People student competition. He and his family reside in Elizabethtown. Prior to today's recognition, Kendrick received a collection of books and an honorarium from Gilder Lehrman. Please welcome Kendrick Bryan. Sorry. Next, we honor outstanding history-related and educational projects from local history organizations, historians, and communities across Kentucky. The projects were undertaken between January 1st, 2024 and December 31st, 2024. These awards showcase exceptional exhibits, multimedia programming, special projects, and publications. Through this work, our award winners have demonstrated extraordinary value to their communities by engaging the public through history and education. Please come forward as I call your organization's name. For public programming, we award the Harrodsburg Historical Society for Harrodsburg's 250th celebration events. Founded in 1907 as one of Kentucky's oldest historical societies, this organization spent 2024 partnering with organizations to celebrate Harrodsburg's 250th anniversary and showcasing Harrodsburg's history as the oldest permanent English settlement west of the Allegheny Mountains. The range of events included teas with historical characters, tours of historic cemeteries and churches, speaker presentations, and a special exhibit titled War Comes to Harrodsburg that explored the impact of the Harrodsburg community after the Battle of Perryville. Congratulations. In public programming, we award Callaway County Genealogical and Historical Society's monthly meeting programs. This all-volunteer organization's mission is to serve all who are interested in collecting and preserving all types of genealogical data and to encourage families to keep careful records of their own lineage. Monthly program topics included Callaway County's Bacchusburg Mounds, the Civil War skirmish at Pine Bluff, and stories from Callaway County Fiscal Court. Some events explored historical practice, such as the value and practice of oral history and cemetery preservation. As Dr. Bill Mulligan, president of Jackson Purchase Historical Society, wrote, "As an attendee, I can testify that the programs are well presented and substantive. There is almost always lively discussion and questions that show engagement." Congratulations. For the final Public Programming Award, we present Barron County Historical Society's 2024 program series. Reaching its 52nd year, the Society's membership has evolved from a focus on genealogy to programming that spotlights local history. The programs not only celebrate local history, but also inspire the community in doing new research on local subjects. The programs are open to the public free of charge at the South Central Kentucky Cultural Center and aid that organization in providing outstanding programs that complement the museum's collection and exhibits. Speakers ranged from Jesse R. Brown, a recent inductee into the Kentucky Teacher Hall of Fame, sharing 60 years of teaching history at Glasgow High School, to Quentin Jones of Mammoth Cave National Park, who shared research on the African-American owned and operated Bransford Summer Resort located in the current park, as well as Sam Terry on Bear Wallow, a once thriving stagecoach-centered village in Barron County. Congratulations.
Thank you, Sarah. Before I introduce our next speaker, I do want to recognize if there are any KHS Governing Board or Foundation Board members. Can you raise your hand so we can recognize you? Great. Some of our board members were also judges for these awards, so we appreciate their help. So next, I'd like to introduce Tommy Druin, KHS Governing Board member, to present the next two awards.
Good morning. Move that up a little bit. So when Leah asked me if I wanted to help present an award, I jumped at the chance. Like many of you, probably grew up in a time when you didn't get a plethora of television stations. So I've watched more than my fair share of Emmys and Oscars and Grammys and things. And I knew for a fact that anytime there is some no-name guy that comes up there, there is always a stunning, beautiful woman right next to him. And I'm thinking, this is Kentucky. You know, we've got Jennifer Lawrence, we've got Molly Sims, we've got, Laura Bell Bundy. And good morning, Scott. So with that, for the Preservation Award, we are presenting the Capital City Museum's Collection Rehousing Project. The purchase and installation of 4,000 square feet of new museum-grade cabinets, shelving, and art racks required staff to temporarily rehouse their collection. After a week of installation with the contracted company, museum staff began the process of organizing the collection onto the new shelving, including unrolling their extensive blueprint collection, which includes a collection from the statewide firm Porter Coblin and had previously been stored in rolled molded boxes. The museum had also implemented a new, more modern collection number and naming system. Overall, the project rehoused over 20,000 artifacts, making them more accessible. Congratulations on this important work to preserve your collection. I'll also say, Sam, that's the first time I've ever heard Bear Wallow called Bear Wallow. So next, for Special Projects Award, we present Mount Washington Historical Society's Mount Washington History Walk. The Mount Washington History Walk is a series of 10 interpretive signs placed on sites of local historic significance along the downtown corridor of Mount Washington, Kentucky. A QR code is embedded in each marker, enabling viewers to scan each for supplemental information. Objectives of the project included encouraging the public to discover the people, events, and sites of local historical significance, while also increasing awareness of the Mount Washington Historical Society and its mission within the community. The Mount Washington Historical Society introduced the History Walk project with funding from the Kentucky Historical Society's Kentucky Local History Trust Fund, and through partnerships with the City of Mount Washington, Bullitt County Tourism and Convention Commission, and the Mount Washington Lions Club. The project has created a new level of recognition and enthusiasm, which is evidenced in new members and visitors at their meetings. Congratulations.
Move that back down. Next, I have the honor of presenting the Multimedia Award to South Union Shaker Village's Objects from the Outer Branch video series. The title of the series is a reference to an early 19th century manuscript in which Shaker leadership referred to South Union as the outer branch of the vineyard due to its great distance from the Shakers in New York. The goal of the bi-monthly videos was to feature artifacts from the museum collection that are rarely on exhibit. The video highlighted not only the object itself, but also focused on the individual who made, owned, or was associated with the artifact. Videos recounted stories of women who often had roles of power and influence not afforded to those who lived outside of Shaker villages, as well as people of color who chose to live at South Union and achieve significant positions of leadership in the village. The video series brings accessibility to objects too fragile to be displayed, while also allowing those unable to visit South Union the opportunity to see the collection and learn about the Kentucky Shakers. Congratulations. The next Multimedia Award is presented for Patty Peeler's Reflections podcast. This monthly podcast was researched, written, and narrated by Patty Peeler, edited by Clay Wallace, and produced by the Capital City Museum. It explores life in Franklin County, Kentucky, with a particular focus on Leestown in the late 18th century. The podcast presents reflections on a community's beginnings and the many puzzle pieces that formed its rich history. Content includes stories of people who have impacted Franklin County, as well as how the geography, local and national events, and legislation shape the past. The podcast is available for free on all major podcast streaming platforms. Congratulations, Patty, and all those involved in the project. And now I'd like to turn it over to Suzanne Wells-Mile, KHS Governing Board Member, who will introduce the exhibit awards.
Thanks, Leah. Good morning. The first exhibit award is presented to Fraser History Museum for the 120 Cool Kentucky Counties exhibit. The premise of this exhibit was that every county, no matter how small, has a story worth sharing, highlighting, and celebrating cultural output from every corner of the Commonwealth. The exhibit partnered at the local level with community leaders and county representatives who were asked to share stories, legends, and histories of local importance. The exhibit valued accessibility with touchscreen monitors placed where they can be accessed standing or from a wheelchair, and with a variety of types of content, including audio, video, and still images. As one visitor wrote, the stories from each county are varied and diverse, yet they are cohesive in their sense of pride for our state. History's successes and failures are revealed here. Learning from both is invaluable for our future. Congratulations. I have to say, I read this submission and totally loved it. As someone who grew up in Adair County, went to college in Boyle County, lives in Mercer County, I was like, I want to see all these different counties and see if there's something they can tell me I didn't know about them. So I thought it was a terrific exhibit. Congratulations. The next exhibit award is presented to Capital City Museum for the Lest We Forget exhibit. As part of a memorandum of agreement with the City of Frankfort for the new transit center, the Capital City Museum worked with Vicki Berenberg to write and install an exhibit mitigating the ramifications of urban renewal activities within Frankfort. The exhibit plainly discusses the loss of the Crawfish Bottom neighborhood, a historically poor black neighborhood that was destroyed by urban renewal activities. It was then replaced by the Capitol Plaza development, which included the YMCA. In 2019, key parts of the development were removed and the land later sold for new development. The exhibit was installed in the transit center to help mitigate cultural harm by the series of developments in the area and brings attention to the public of the history of this space. Congratulations. The last exhibit award is presented to Our Land of Promise and Berea Arts Council's Black History and Heritage exhibit. This exhibit celebrates the rich and enduring legacy of Berea's black community, which traces its roots back to 1769. Through exhibits, storytelling, and community engagement, the project highlights the contributions, struggles, and achievements of black residents who have shaped Berea's cultural and historical landscape. Supported by organizations such as the Kentucky Arts Council, Kentucky Humanities, Partners for Rural Impact, Mountain Association, and BG Community Fund, this initiative ensures that these stories are preserved and shared for future generations. The exhibit featured nearly 100 artifacts, plus photographs that showcased items lovingly passed down from family to family and now shared with the whole community. Congratulations.
Thank you, Suzanne. Next, I would like to introduce Stuart Sanders, KHS Director of Research and Publications.
Thanks, Steve. And thank you, Leah, as well. Next, we'll recognize publications with strong historical value, accurate research, appropriate sources, and effective distribution methods. For the University Press category, we present Simplicity and Excellence, Elizabeth Kramer from Beaten Biscuits to Shaker Lemon Pie by Deidre Skaggs and Evelina Kramer Settle. Born at the turn of the 20th century in Cynthiana, Kentucky, Elizabeth Cromwell Kramer was a woman who strove for excellence in all things. From the home economics classrooms of the University of Kentucky to the fine dining restaurants of Louisville and New York City, Kramer's tenacity, unconventionality, and dedication helped her build a legacy that celebrated the simplicity of good, traditional Kentucky country cooking. In 1967, she opened a restaurant for Kentucky's newly restored Shaker Village at Pleasant Hill. Under her guidance, what began as a small sandwich shop flourished into the iconic Trustees Table restaurant at Shaker Village, which continues to attract guests from all over the world. In simplicity and excellence, authors Deidre Skaggs and Evelina Settle compiled the first ever biography of this incredible woman. Each of Kramer's classic recipes is bookended by charming and inspiring stories about her life, drawn from oral history passed down by Kramer's family and friends, as well as archival materials. A gastronomic history like no other, simplicity and excellence effortlessly paints a portrait of one of the most influential forces behind the preservation of Kentucky's culture through its cuisine. Congratulations. And the authors could not be here today, but we congratulate them on this award. For the local private press category, we present Bygone Churches of Callaway County, Kentucky, 1820 to 2024 by the Callaway County Genealogical and Historical Society. When settlers began to establish communities in the Callaway County region, churches of different denominations were built. Through the years, many of these churches became lost to time, either merging with other congregations, moving to other locations within the region, or closing altogether. The Callaway County Genealogical and Historical Society compiled an official record of more than 100 historic churches that are no longer in existence. Historical narratives are provided for each church, developed through church records, meeting minutes, deeds, other publications, and newspaper archives, along with historic photographs of the church facilities and members through the years. Bygone Churches of Callaway County, Kentucky, 1820 to 2024 is an excellent resource in understanding and appreciating the early years and development of Christianity in communities throughout the county. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to introduce Dr. Stephanie Lang, the editor of the Register of the Kentucky Historical Society, for the next award.
Thank you, Stuart, and good morning, everyone. The Richard H. Collins Award is selected by a panel of historians and given to one author each preceding year for the most outstanding contribution to Kentucky history. KHS proudly announces the 2024 Collins Award winner for Best Article in the Register, Died from Eating Too Much Morphine, Researching Opioid Addiction in Civil War-Era Kentucky by Dr. Jonathan S. Jones. Unfortunately, Jonathan was not able to join us today, but please welcome me in congratulating him. Jonathan is an assistant professor of history at James Madison University, and he is the author of the soon-to-be-released Opium Slavery, Civil War Veterans, and Opiate Addiction.
Thank you, Stephanie. I'd like to introduce Sheila Mason, KHS Governing Board first Vice President, to present the special awards. Sheila?
I think it's still good morning, everyone. Our special awards recognize individuals and organizations making a significant impact across the Commonwealth. The Community Impact Award is given to an organization that has demonstrated long-term engagement and expanded access to history and the humanities through community work. This award recognizes an organization that has significantly impacted its local community by advocating for the value of history, developing programs that positively affect the community, and encouraging others to promote the value of history. I am pleased to present the Community Impact Award to Camp Nelson National Monument. We recognize Camp Nelson National Monument for their commemoration of the 160th anniversary of the enlistment and emancipation of Black troops, known at the time as U.S. colored troops, in Kentucky in 1864, and the establishment of a refugee camp at Camp Nelson for these soldiers' wives and children. Over the past year, Camp Nelson National Monument has made a significant impact on both Central Kentucky and Kentucky's African American community by interpreting and advocating for the national significance of African American experience in Kentucky during the Civil War era through collaborative programming with community partners, organizations, and descendants across Kentucky to celebrate this 160th anniversary. These events featured nationally renowned and local scholars, including the slave dwelling project's Joseph McNeil, Cheney McKnight, and Tammy Gibson, the Kentucky Poet Laureate and Professor Frank X. Walker, Dr. Amy M. Taylor, Dr. Jared Frederick, Dr. Stephen Goldman, Mr. Tim Talbot, Ms. Yvonne Giles, and Mr. Nick Sacco, and brought wide recognition to Camp Nelson, a unit of the National Park Service, as well as to other historical sites. Congratulations to Camp Nelson. I hope you all heard that. Next, the Volunteer Organization or Group Award is presented to an organization managed exclusively by volunteers or volunteer groups for significant contribution through non-paid work, activities, or support of a Kentucky history-related organization. The Volunteer Organization or Group Award is presented to Clay County Historical Society. Celebrating its 40th anniversary in 2024, the Clay County Historical Society recognized this milestone with a variety of programs and activities to raise awareness of the organization and Clay County history. They installed an interpretive panel at the Manchester Depot, site of the first train station in Clay County. They accepted a new collection of bound newspapers of the Manchester Enterprise newspaper, which had previously been slated for disposal. They worked on a campaign to clean and repair historic cemetery headstones and distributed free cleaning kits to members. They sponsored publications on Clay County history, celebrated historical buildings, and presented walking tours. They also opened Legends Hall Clay County Basketball Museum at the Clay County High School. The 40th anniversary activities were in addition to the Historical Society producing a biannual magazine for nearly 600 members and managing the Clay Weaver Museum, History Pavilion, and Saltworks Pioneer Village. Congratulations to the Clay County Historical Society.
Thank you, Sheila. Now I'd like to invite Scott Alvey back to the podium for our final round of awards.
Great, thank you, Leah. Get situated here. Our service awards recognize individuals or organizations that have made an outstanding contribution of Kentucky or to Kentucky through long-term commitment, volunteer work, or support of history-related organizations. First, we are delighted to present the Kentucky Historical Society's Award of Distinction bestowed upon an individual who has significantly contributed to state and local history as a volunteer, board member, or organization member. I'd like to present the Award of Distinction to Lynn Martin. Lynn Martin's ability to inspire others and gather community support in the community of Mount Washington made him stand out for this year's award. As the nominator stated, he has a visionary and encourager for the Mount Washington Historical Society, and his persistence has led to the completion of several projects to promote local and state history. One of the first projects he proposed was the History Walk in Mount Washington downtown area. He received assistance from the Mount Washington Lions Club, the City of Mount Washington, the Bullet Charged Media. He partnered with the local high school computer class where students improved the Historical Society's website and worked to create a QR code for the History Walk. After the completion of one project, he encouraged others to pursue his idea. He suggested a display case of historic artifacts researched, planned, and obtained a grant from the Kentucky Historical Society's America 250 KY grant program to purchase the case. The History Box display is now located at the library. He is starting a lecture series called Historic Connections. As his nominator stated, Lynn is enthusiastic and ambitious in his quest to have local history recognized and shared in our community. His positive nature and can-do attitude made these ideas become reality, sharing with people in diverse ways so that history comes alive. We are pleased to present Lynn and the award of distinction for his leadership, determination, and energy as he brings to the Mount Washington Historical Society in all the many projects he has spearheaded. Congratulations. All right, I was trying to do it without the glasses, but apparently that's not going to work. By the way, Tommy and I take that show on the road if you ever want to come visit us. The Thomas D. Clark Award of Excellence is given to a local history-related organization that has raised the visibility and relevance of history within its community through programs, exhibitions, publications, and services. Presented balanced and varied programs, exhibits, and publications throughout the year. Based programs, exhibits, and publications on strong historical content, and has been engaged with and supported by its local community. I'd like to present the Thomas D. Clark Award of Excellence to the Livingston County Historical and Genealogical Society. 2024 marked the 250th anniversary of Livingston County, which was created in 1799. The Livingston County Genealogical Society's identity is based on the long and colorful history of the region, its people, and the geographic boundaries of the county itself. One of the goals of the Historical Society is to preserve and promote the county's history. One such event included, in 2024, included the Lafayette Tour Celebration in October, which celebrated Lafayette's visit to the Smithland. Organizations including the Pomeroy Foundation in Washington, D.C. and the Lafayette Trail Incorporated were two groups that coordinated the stops on the tour. The Society provided learning and information through non-traditional settings as an alternative to classrooms. Students and teachers saw the potential in these new experiences and participated in events developed by the Historical Society. The Society awarded a scholarship funded by a local resident, sponsored a Student of the Month, gave guided tours of the museum for students, took new teachers on a tour of the county, and went on field trips to discover new information about places and people. This past year, people from many places came to the Historical Society's office at Log Cabin in Smithland, Kentucky to research projects, future books, family trees. A large collection of newspaper files, pictures, books, and other valuable and unusual materials is available for public use. Volunteers are on hand to assist visitors by scanning documents, printing files, locating books, answering questions, and welcoming these visitors to Livingston County. The Livingston County Historical Society participated in writing histories, establishing and operating archives, records management, developing new projects, and conducting oral history interviews. The Society's collection are accessible to the public and have inspired people to write their own books and stories. The office at the Log Cabin provides a place to display this material. The Historical Society published books of local and historical interest in 2024, publishing an ongoing process and changes as interest and new events became popular. Churches of Livingston County and Cemetery Records from 2019 to 2023 were popular books. Other fundraisers focused on the county's 225th anniversary. Having been in existence for 41 years, the organization keeps people's interest in history, sparks enthusiasm, and increases appreciation of the county and Kentucky. Through the cohesive efforts of this community and the diligent, energetic members of the society, like-minded people have been brought together. The society has provided leadership and has demonstrated the importance of history. The region's heritage is being carefully preserved for future generations through professional and sustainable collections and hard work by the members. Congratulations once again to the Livingston County Historical and Genealogical Society. Today, I also have the honor of presenting the Frank R. Levstik Award for Professional Service, named after a longtime employee at the Kentucky Department for Library and Archives. Mr. Levstik was one who embodied professional service, and KHS is honored to have this annual award in his memory. This award is presented to a recently retired paid staff of a history-related organization in Kentucky who has demonstrated exemplary work and dedication to their institution. Today, we are honored to present Carol Ely, the longtime executive director of Historic Locust Grove in Louisville, with the Frank R. Levstik Award for Professional Service. Dr. Ely attended Tufts University, where she earned a BA in History and Drama. In 1999, she completed her PhD in American History at Brandeis University. By this time, she had already had an impressive career in the museum and public history field. Before becoming the executive director of Locust Grove, a post she held for more than 20 years, Dr. Ely served as assistant director of the Paul Revere House, the Education and Exhibit Director at the Virginia Discovery Museum, the Education and and the first director of the New England Quilt Museum in Lowell, Massachusetts. On top of her duties at Locust Grove, Carol has also taught public history in the graduate programs at the University of Louisville, has worked on innumerable exhibits, and has written extensively about the history of quilts and Jewish communities in Charlottesville, Virginia, and Louisville. This includes her new book, or her book, Jewish Louisville, Portrait of a Community. In a 2019 interview, Carol was asked what the world needed now. She responded, "I wish more people understood the common good that comes from great schools, great parks, great social service programs, and great libraries, and would be more willing to fund them." Don't we all think that right now? Thanks to her work, Carol has helped this common good by helping build great museums in Kentucky. By mentoring students, interns, docents, staffs, and other history professionals, she has aided the public history field across the state. Moreover, thanks to her stellar career at Locust Grove, she helped make the Louisville site renowned for their great work. Unfortunately, Dr. Ely was unable to join us today, but I'm really proud our team was able to catch up with her at Locust Grove and present her with the Frank R. Levstik Award for Professional Service.
I started out almost 50 years ago working as a summer intern at the Paul Revere House in Boston. It was the bicentennial summer. There were tall ships. The Queen came and visited. It was such an exciting time to be a historian. There was a sense of new beginnings based on a great 200-year history. And now we're at 250. So it's a challenge to keep the American dream going. I went from Boston to graduate school, went to a job in Charlottesville, came to Louisville, taught for a while at U of L and Indiana University Southeast, and when I saw the job posted in late 2003 for the executive director job here, I thought, there's my job, that's it. That's what I've been training to do. Historic House Museum, the American Revolution. What I found at Locust Grove was there is staff who bring great insights. There are volunteers who bring enthusiasm and experience from different places. There are your members who have chosen to award with their money and time. There are people who are just passers-by or participants in programs who might be able to be drawn in. And so everybody can contribute something. What is it? Even if it's only kind of questioning what you're doing. There have been a couple times in my career where I was challenged by somebody who didn't like the way something was going or what was happening. And in a couple of instances, I've been able to bring them into the process to say, you know, you're right, you make a good point. There's something we're missing here. You're pointing it out. Thank you. How can you help us fix this? So listening, I think, and understanding that people come from different directions, but they all have something valid. Public funding has waxed and waned. Private funding has gone up and down. That's always a big challenge. But the other is how to present history in a way that feels to people like it touches their lives, like it matters. And the word that comes up often is relevance, but that's limited. It's like, how do people understand that these historical forces got us to where we are today, that built the buildings around us and the roads we travel on and the ideas that we pursue and our culture and entertainment and all of that doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes from a place and it comes from people. So making that sound exciting and like something people want to be part of, I think is the challenge for public historians today. You know, you start out as an undergraduate and you go to graduate school and you're bringing in, you know, all the works of all the great historians from the past and all of the historic sites you visited, and then you question it all. And there's something else to be learned. You turn over each of those things and you say, oh, that was just part of it. There's something else here. The kind of continual reframing and relearning until you end up feeling like, I don't know anything at all. You know, here I am after all this time. What do I know? I had done some work when I was studying the Revolution in Boston that I think could really benefit from the kind of material that's available now, and I want to go back and look at it all over again. So we just keep relearning. That's what it's about. Thank you so much to Kentucky Historical Society for this award, and I thank all the people from my 5th grade teacher who got me interested in how there were so many stories to be told behind the stories of history, all the way up to the people here at Locust Grove who supported me for 20 years. It's been a great ride.
Watching that video reminds me, there was an event for Carol, it's been a little over a year ago, and when we got there, it was celebrating her service there at Locust Grove, and she kept walking around the room telling everybody, I'm not retiring. And she retired, which was great to have somebody like Carol, and it's been an inspiration for all of us. Before I talk about our final award, I also wanted to point out, this is a wonderful process for our team and for the board members and the people who help review the portfolios. We get all these portfolios in, and you can just really get into seeing all the great work that's going on. So it's really hard. Forgive us. It's really hard not to talk about all the stuff that these award winners are getting. I see on the table back there too. There's some information about some of the award winners if you want to look more into what was provided in their portfolio and about the projects that they do, because it's a shame that sometimes these exhibits or these programs have come and gone, and so we can't go back out and necessarily see them right away, but it's a great opportunity for us to be able to do that, so I welcome you to enjoy those in the back. Today's final award is the Dr. James C. Klotter Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award. Many of you know Dr. Klotter, and his career is complete with significant contributions to the study and sharing of Kentucky's history. He was the executive director here at the Kentucky Historical Society for over 25 years. He texts me every once in a while, during which he played a pivotal role in actually creating this building that we are in today. And this is our new home for Kentucky history. And Dr. Klotter's Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award honors someone who has consistently supported history and related community projects in their region and in the state. Today, we are pleased to present this award to Dr. Stephen McBride. Dr. Stephen McBride, yes. Dr. Stephen McBride is a historical archaeologist who worked in Kentucky in 1987 when he joined the University of Kentucky to co-author the state plan for historical archaeology with his wife, Kim A. McBride. This influential document, published in 1991 and updated in 2008, helped establish a direction for archaeological research on historic period sites in Kentucky. His publications, including contributions to the archaeology of Kentucky and historical archaeology in Kentucky, helped bring wider attention to the field. Throughout his career, Dr. McBride led excavations at important historic sites across the state, including Pope House and Ashland, the Henry Clay Estate in Lexington, Farmington, and the Farnsley Mormon House, later Riverside in Louisville, my old Kentucky home in Bardstown, the Dinsmore Homestead in Boone County, and the Shaker Village of Pleasant Hill and Mercer County, and many more. Often working alongside museums and preservation organizations, his work emphasized public engagement, helping to establish public archaeology as a valued practice in Kentucky. In the 1990s, he led a major archaeological project at Camp Nelson in Jessamine County, documenting Civil War-era sites tied to the Union Army and African-American soldiers and refugees. His research helped elevate Camp Nelson's significance at the local, state, and national levels. In 2001, he joined the newly formed Camp Nelson Civil War Heritage Park as Director of Interpretation and Archaeology, the first time a county in Kentucky hired an archaeologist for such a role. Over the next 2 decades, Dr. McBride played a central role in Camp Nelson's development as a public site, leading excavations, creating exhibits, organizing educational events, and teaching field school for the University of Kentucky. His efforts, along with successful grant writing and collaborations with the Underground Railroad Network to Freedom, led to national recognition of Camp Nelson's African American history. Dr. McBride also contributed to nominations for the National Register of Historic Places and National Historic Landmark status for Camp Nelson, and testified before Congress in support of its designation as a national park. After Camp Nelson became part of the National Park Service in 2018, he supported the transition and continues to serve as a consultant, educator, and advocate for its preservation and interpretation. Today, Dr. McBride remains active in mentoring National Park Service staff, especially in sharing the significance of Camp Nelson's African American heritage with new generations. His work has had a lasting impact on Kentucky archaeology, public history, and the recognition of underrepresented voices in American past. His is a remarkable legacy for Camp Nelson and the Commonwealth. Therefore, the Kentucky Historical Society is pleased to present Dr. Stephen McBride with the James C. Klotter Lifetime Dedication to Kentucky History Award.
I think it was from watching National Geographic specials on television, particularly ones that involved Lewis and Mary Leakey, who were looking for human origins in East Africa back in the day, as they say. But then when I was in college, I went on an archaeological field school. It was on a French and British fur trade post in the Great Lakes. This was really cool because you could combine historic documents with material culture to investigate the past. My wife and I got jobs while we were in graduate school at University of Kentucky. We came here to write the state plan for historic archaeology through UK, and one of the projects I did was archaeology for a AT&T fiber optics line that came through what was Camp Nelson. Jessamine County Physical Court was concerned about the preservation of this site, and they met with the Kentucky Heritage Council and got a grant to do a preservation plan for Camp Nelson, and I was actually hired with a planner to do the historic and archaeological part of that plan. And that was kind of, I guess, the beginning of Camp Nelson Civil War Heritage Park. I got real emotionally interested in his story, particularly the African American story, but also that it was such a complex site. It was basically like a smaller, medium-sized city with residential parts, industrial parts, obviously military parts. So it just was an interesting subject and topic for study. You could go in all kinds of different directions. I got to go to the National Archives for the first of many times, but I discovered the key to the map, the 1866 Miller map, which identified all the buildings on the map. And that kind of got me started, and I went through the quartermaster records, and I would just come back with hundreds and hundreds of pages of photocopy material, including the investigation of the expulsion, which really caught my interest. And these were the wives and children of the United States colored troops that the Army really hadn't foreseen or planned for them to move into camp. The African American story is what makes this site unique, and it makes it so emotional because people are attaining their freedom by coming here and joining the Army. Then the women and children are thrown out of camp, and many of them die. then they're let back into camp, and then they're emancipated as well by a congressional act a few months later. It's just a powerful story that I guess caught my interest early on, and it's very emotional, it's very exciting, and for me it was an issue of as well of, you know, how can the material culture, the archaeology add to this story? But most of the documentation is from the Army, is from white people, either the Army or missionaries with the American Missionary Association. And the archaeology, I think, is powerful in that it gives the African American perspective to some degree, which is missing in a lot of the documents. It's probably professionally the main thing I'm known for. I think when you're in a kind of a bit of an esoteric field, there may not be jobs. You may have to create those jobs. And I think that just makes it all the more satisfying. Sometimes you just get a bug, I guess, and you just get excited about it, and there's questions you want to answer, and that kind of drives you to keep going, to answer those questions. I feel humbled to get the award. I actually know Jim Klotter fairly well. When he was there in the history department, I was in Soc Anthro, and so I've always very much respected him, and it's just makes me, you know, feel kind of, I guess maybe proud is the wrong word. I guess maybe it's the right word, but just it's very fulfilling that you're recognized by your peers and important agencies that, you know, what you've done through your career is important and has made a difference.
I think we all recognize what Dr. McBride was saying about, you know, there's that burning question, that thing that we want to uncover and dig deeper into, and I think that's what brought us all here today. Before I end today's ceremonies, let me also indulge in bragging on our staff, volunteers, and board members here at the Historical Society. I really wanted to give you all this great big list of all the wonderful programs and activities and support for historians and history organizations, but I also know that we're coming up upon time for the ceremony, so just know that I think you all can appreciate the amount of work that they're doing and working with you all. Really glad when we're able to do that. But I also wanted to mention that in April, when several of us were predicting floodwaters coming in here to the Kentucky History Center, our staff and volunteers and family and friends and some friends of ours from Salado and from Liberty Hall, I think Capital City Museum, and maybe KDLA brought people over here, and we were able to move. If you know Kentucky Journey and the Women's Veterans Exhibit and Hall of Governors, they were able to move all the artifacts, or at least a good portion of the artifacts that would be in harm's way from floodwaters, up to the second floor in under 5 hours. For those, yeah. And they put it back pretty quick, too, with only one item suffering minor damage. So really, really thrilled. And the fact that everybody showed up to do that, it just shows the passion that we have, that we all share for Kentucky history and making sure that we can preserve, protect it, and make it available for our visiting public. I also want to make you aware we have added several new staff members here today. So when you're out and about today, hopefully you'll stay around for the festivities and activities. We're easily recognizable in orange shirts today. So please introduce yourselves. They would love to get to know you, and we would love for you to get to know them. But will you please join me in thanking our team here at the Historical Society for making today's event possible. This concludes the 2025 Kentucky History Awards. Congratulations to all of our winners, and thank you for doing what you do to preserve and promote Kentucky's history. On behalf of the Kentucky Historical Society, our board, and the Kentucky Historical Society Foundation and their board, we greatly appreciate your attendance and hope you will stay to explore our 3 sites here at the Thomas D. Clark Center, the Old State Capitol. The cannon firings and firing demonstrations will happen up at the Arsenal, so please go up there to participate. So many activities going on around the campus, so thank you all very much. Before I release you, please, award winners, will you stay around and come up here to the front of the stage so that we can grab a group photo of all of our winners. Thank you all very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Celebrate Kentucky's 233rd birthday on June 7th with West Banco Kentucky History Day, presented by the Kentucky Historical Society. Experience the heart and soul of the Commonwealth with captivating living history demonstrations, engaging performances, and interactive exhibits. The day begins with the Kentucky History Awards. Then enjoy living history demonstrations, museum exhibitions, vendors, artists, activities, and music set among the historic backdrop of downtown Frankfort. Learn more at history.ky.gov.